please like and subscribe.
So lots and lots of stuff going on. Um, how has your sleeping schedule been?
Kick it right off.
Let's just go right at it. How
Is
much
that a
coffee
trick
have you drank this
question?
morning?
Is that a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question.
Yeah.
Have you slept at all this week?
Well, the last like 2 days, it's gotten much better, but it has definitely been team no sleep for myself and the team. And yes, because these bags under my eyes are not supposed to be here.
Well, I say that as a joke, but we are all about people. So, yeah, we want to talk about Grove, and of course, we like you, and we have you back on. We had a blast with you the first time.
Yeah.
But I ask that as a joke, but also just because we do care, and we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, But let's just roll right into everything that's going on. Okay, so you guys are now a coin, right? And
Yeah.
there was a migration. Is that the right word for that?
Mm-hmm.
A migration from the token to the coin. Is there any way for you guys to tell? What'd you say, Holly?
I said transition.
Transit. That's the word I was looking for.
Ah, there it is.
Is there any way for you guys to tell what, like, how many % of that has transitioned? Do you guys
Well,
know?
Yes. So, first of all, it's called Grove Coin. It has to technically be on its own blockchain in order for it to be classified as a coin, which, we've went over all of that. But we have to prepare because, as you can see, it's quite the process to transition.
Yeah.
So that's why it is that we release the coin first, so that way we could go through all the process with the exchanges, with people and, just on the blockchain, those types of things. And then when we release our blockchain later this month, it will then be placed on the blockchain, which qualifies it as the technical coin. But some people, futters, and it's like, we've already explained all that. People understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to your question. So we do know the percent. Right now, currently, the ones that are remaining, a large percent of them have less than $1 trillion. And I think that where it falls is, because the conversion rate is 1 billion. Yes. And so I think a lot of people are like, well, I only have 8 then. I only have 4 then. I only have, just to kind of give a scenario, imagine if that was 1 Ethereum or 1 BNB or,
Right.
like you have to
It wouldn't
consider
matter
it
then.
that.
Yeah,
It matters.
It would be transferring that at heartbeat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that kind of goes right into my follow-up question to that is, so technically it has to, for it to be a coin, it has to be on its own blockchain. I think most people know that. Futters absolutely know that. But let me ask you that, when the blockchain comes out, and I'm not asking when, but is there going to be another transition? Is there going to be another migration? Okay, so we're done with that.
Hell no.
Okay.
So it's actually Grove Coin, and when the blockchain comes out, then it will be official. But there won't be anything else people have to do with those coins.
No, absolutely not. And so we'll have the tool open for basically a period of 6 months. And so they have time. There's no technical rush to it. However, you do want to get it taken care of as soon as possible. Because let's say life happens and something happens that you're not online during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you had more than enough opportunity to get it done before something, life or what have you, happens. So it's just responsible to go ahead and do it now. So, because I mean, we're still going. It's not stopping us. It's just
Right.
your personal self, right? But So like this morning we released staking. Farming is still not, we still haven't released farming because as you'll notice, we do things in phases. So we'll do this and then we'll do this and then we'll do this. So that way that the whole community is able to stay on the same page. They're not flooded with information, get it confused. We all are in this together. So it's kind of like rowing a boat. All right, let's go one. Okay, let's go two. And so that's just how we do things. And as you can see, the community is very receptive and they're also learning at the same time. So, so yes, that's how things work. Will we ever transition again? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Well, you brought up a good point there too, because when SafeMoon went V2, there's still people that hold V1, and I don't remember how many months ago that was, but it was a long time ago, and so I'm going to guess that at every turn of any migration or transition of any coin, whether it be to a token or just a newer version, there's probably always some that don't ever get transferred.
Yeah.
Because
never 100%.
I mean, like you said, life happens, people pass away. I mean, there could be that where it's just sitting in a wallet somewhere, but it's nice to know that doesn't slow anything down. So you don't have to have 100% converted to make everything else work.
No.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
No.
That's one thing I assumed that, but I had never had anybody tell me that, so I didn't know.
Yeah, we had John did say, that we were going to wait till 90%. But also with the disclaimer of if that's being abused or people are not, being responsible and going ahead and doing it, then we still have to carry on with business. We are a living, breathing business. We can't just wait for people to do that. So that disclaimer was always there. And so we just had to enact it. We didn't, we gave people the option. We just had to do what we have to do.
Yeah. So maybe you can't tell me, or maybe I missed it. Did you tell us what the percent was that's already transferred? Okay.
No, I did not. However,
and if you
because
can't answer that, that's okay.
yes. Just like with any crypto, there's going to be dust wallets. There's going to be empty wallets or wallets that have like a fraction in it. That's any crypto.
Yeah.
So there is a number of those as well. But again, that's just part of it. But as far as the people that are not that, we're pretty good. We're pretty good into it. Not 50% or anything like that, because there's a lot of people who have chosen, for whatever their reason, not to transition. So that's where it is. You also have to keep in mind that exchanges have several wallets.
Yes.
So,
I do, you guys. I have a wallet that I have not transitioned yet. I have a wallet that has, or two of them that I have transitioned, but this one I need to still do it. It's just I haven't, because I don't really know how to get into the device that holds that wallet. So to be determined.
Yeah.
I know, but it's somewhere. Like, I know I have the seed phrase to the I know, because I have it all together in a safe. Like, I am very organized. I just haven't had the time to do that yet.
So it's
you still
Holly's
good,
fault.
then?
That's what we're saying. It's Holly's fault.
It's my fault.
We need like a shame button.
So
No, and to be honest, when I transitioned my other two, it was super simple. And then I go on Twitter and everybody's like, fire, burn the house down. And I'm like, what is happening? It literally was, I had no problem at all. No errors, no. So, but I also didn't do it the first day that it came out. I know, just because, I work in a tech company and I know what happens when you release something. Everybody wants to see the new and shiny things, right? So usually things things go down because there's too many people on that, trying to do that one task, or to even be on that one site at a time, that this happens. I mean, it's happened with SafeMoon. It's happened with my company twice. And so I know so I'm like, I'll do it when I do it. And then I think it was 2 days later, I transitioned, no problem. I had no problems at all.
Yeah,
it's
see,
good
I
to hear.
didn't do it right off the bat, like within the first hour, but I think it was later that evening I tried it and it didn't work, and then I tried it the next day and I couldn't get it to work, but it was user error. Was the problem.
Was it? Okay. I thought maybe it was because there was something.
This is Josh.
No, well,
I wasn't trying to, like,
apparently
dog
I was
you or
on the
anything.
wrong browser inside my wallet, and I didn't know. But I'm just not the guy to freak out about it because
That's how I am.
I know from experience in past tokens that have went V2 or V3 that you don't have a 2-hour window to get it done in, and then it just shuts off and you're screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen. So it was like, okay, we'll see. And then I should remember the name, but somebody posted something about, hey, if you're having problems, make sure you change your browser to whatever it was. Clicked on that, bang, done. It's like, showed up, good. But with that too, it showed the price within like 3 days.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys manage that, Mendy? Because I'm not going to name any names because I don't have any ill will towards them, but I still have tokens that have went V2 or whatever that still don't have a price attached to them.
Yeah.
Well,
How'd you guys pull that off?
so coin market cap is where all of that's tied to, and it all
Right.
feeds into DeFi wallets, right?
Mhm.
So it's, I don't want to say political, but at the same time, it's not an easy process. You would think that it is. It is not an easy process for a multitude of reasons. So if they have done their application, and it clearly says that you cannot resubmit your application, it clearly says that it can, and you can also get blacklisted from there. And you, of course, don't want that, which means you'll never be listed.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be back.
So, I mean, it's a lot of people, not saying you, but a lot of people like to be like, well, they're dragging their feet. They're this. No, they're really not. It clearly shows. I always encourage people to download like the applications themselves, just so that way they can, see and learn. But,
I've read them. Yeah.
But but you cannot resubmit your application. You're truly at their mercy. And
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little bit of luck in there, but also just did things the right way. Is that fair?
well, I mean, yes, but no, because it's one of those. I don't really want to say elbow rubbing, but at the same time, it's not as simple as a let me turn in my application and eventually they'll get to it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, and for a lot of times, no. It's a process.
Well, just at a basic business level, I can tell you in positions that I've been in, I got a stack of papers this tall on my desk, right? And yeah, yours is probably in there somewhere. But when you call me and you say, hey, I need this done, tone and professionalism
Yes.
and all those sort of things may make me reach down in there and grab yours. But if you're being a jerk, it may get lower in a pile because I still have to get through every single one of these pieces of paper.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's how coin market cap works, but I do understand that sometimes just being a good human being helps,
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was impressive because have a few tokens on my wallet that probably still don't track that I've had for 3 months, 4
Been a
months,
while, yeah.
something like that.
Did you go elsewhere?
But yeah, no, I just thought that was impressive. So you brought up staking. So that's what I figured maybe that's where we would head next. So it is live, right?
Yes.
And so
Not farming, staking.
Just
right,
Staking.
not farming.
Yeah.
And,
Well, hold on one second. Before we get to that, where you were going with the about the next migration, with the blockchain coming out. So if people wanted to get their, because it's basically a peg token, right, or a coin. If they wanted to get it on the new blockchain, they would have to send it to an exchange, right, to get no. Okay.
Just use the bridge.
Okay. Oh, and that was my next question.
Yeah.
A bridge. Okay.
yeah.
So
Which is something that you guys are going to have on the exchange. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Well, on the exchange and on the dashboard. So let me kind of break it down. So
Sure.
when you have a coin, so like if you'll notice outside of like the SafeMoon wallet, because it's coded the way that it is, but outside of that, you have a different address for whatever blockchain that you're on, right?
Right.
But you notice that with Grove, it's the same contract regardless of the blockchain that it's on. The contract will be housed on our blockchain. So that means that that's technically where it actually is. While it is the transaction, like if you're staking, is a contract transaction, the actual contract itself will be housed on our blockchain.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Now, are there people that will want to bridge and move it over just so it's sold? They have the mindset that it is there, it is completely secure there. Then yeah, absolutely do it. However, you don't need to fear that. Okay, I have to do this again. No, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you want to, the option's there.
So there aren't any, for say, added benefits to moving it with the onto that blockchain. Is that what you're saying?
You'll have it in house. That's what the benefit is. You have it solely within one house.
Okay.
And that's why I asked it, because I know there's going to be some people like me would be like, oh, when you like to have it on its native blockchain, I know there's going to be people that would want to.
Oh, for sure.
Want to know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because, for no real reason, but just to have it that way.
Well, we talk about that all the time with other coins, and this and that. How some of them are pegged, or depending on where you buy them, especially in the BSC world. There's a lot of pegged tokens out there. So, no, I think that clarifies, at least for these three guys, a lot. Hopefully it was asked in a manner that people that watch this will understand what we were trying to say.
But now I will say this. Let me add this. I know several whales or very conditioned traders that will have it on every single one, like on all the blockchains, just the same as how we all say, or at least the years that's been in crypto, is that you should never have all of your crypto in one sole wallet, because if something ever happens to that wallet, you lose it all. Well, there's people who will have it on Ethereum, on BSC, and on our blockchain, just so that way that they have it where no matter what they divide up. So it's your own personal strategy.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, and I've heard people talk about that when it comes to the staking too. That what we were getting ready to get into is, which pool are you going to put your coin into? And I heard somebody say, I'm going to put some in every single one. And I was like, I think that's smart. Not for security reasons, but so that you have the opportunity to withdraw at different stages.
Exactly.
Maybe you restake it. I don't know what you want to do with it, but some people think it all has to go in the same place. And then other people look at it like, no, I'm going to break it up. And I don't know if either one of them's wrong, but I really like the idea of putting some in each one. That's probably what I'm going to do. But along the lines of staking and it being live, so you have unlocked at 15%. Okay, you have 30 days at 25%, and I have to read this because my mind's not smart enough to remember it. 90 days at 40%, 180 at 50, 360 days at 60. So those numbers are unchanging, correct? Did I read that right?
Yeah,
So
it's fixed.
it's not based on volume, it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Okay. So let me ask you, for those that don't know, how does the staking work? How does the math on that work? So let's just say for easy math, I have 100 Grove coin, right? And I stake it for 180 days. So 180 days, I should have 150 of them because it's 50%, right?
Yes, but its value is still based on the value as what the coin or token is. You still receive that percentage of, because it's also an APY, not an APR. So it's set up kind of the same way that your bank is with theirs, because theirs is an APY, not an APR. So
can you explain to people the difference between APY and APR?
APY,
for those that don't know.
Yeah, well, briefly, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We don't want to get too technical, Mindy. We only have so much time.
I'm going to say, man, we could have a whole lecture if you want.
He's got another
I
notebook
think you'll
for
be
that.
going too deep. But
Yeah.
but APY stands for annual percentage yield, and of course the APR is the annual percentage rate. As you can tell, yield is the most preferred. However, just because of the way that it's structured, I definitely encourage anyone, to Google and increase their education on that, so that way they can learn the difference. Because several different things, not just crypto, but several different things offer your difference between, do you want it APR or you want APY? Well, you can't answer that question if you don't know. And a lot of times you could be losing money just because you don't know the difference. Mm-hmm. So definitely encourage you to Google and better your education on that. And again, not just in crypto, but other things as well, so that way that you'll know, with your 401ks or your your different Roth IRA. Like, there's so many different things that use APR or APY. So you definitely want to take a little bit and find out what each one is, so that way you'll know if you really are making a good decision.
Yeah, so one of the things that I keep seeing is people are wondering, how is this sustainable, right? Because depending on volumes and things like that, I guess people don't understand how. I guess they're looking that the rates would end up changing at some point because they may be too high. But correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a long morning already. But the way that works with the APY is it's based on the yield. So it should be sustainable, correct? I mean, is that oversimplifying it?
That's the easiest way to simplify that.
Okay.
That has that question. And I don't need to give John flowers. He's an excellent CEO. But he also very much is a mathematician. Like, that's his little quirky hobby. Yeah. And you can't beat that man on math. He is, trust me, he has done this every way that he possibly could before he decided that this was the final. And so I very much appreciate that quality about him. And we never want to talk disparagingly about other crypto.
Sure.
But for instance, whenever we released staking with Brew Labs, it's true fact, cannot be denied. We were contacted by other crypto that said, no, you have to redo this. No, you have to redo this, because they felt that, it is business, boys and girls. Yeah. So therefore, they felt that, we were being a little too transparent, and so and our numbers were just a little too good. So and we did not change it; they changed theirs. I mean, that's just what it is. That's why you have to pay attention. It's fun, it's great being a community. It really is. I am your friend. I don't care if you don't hold Grove. That's your own personal choice. I still like you. You can still be my friend.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to just like business, just like with banking, just like your own checking accounts, savings accounts, your retirement funds, all of those, it is business. Mm-hmm. And you have to take the time in a quiet setting when you're not tired, just like you would in real life, and concentrate and pay attention. Write notes, make notes, research. These are not have to be today and done decisions. Is there a lot of growth still left in crypto? Is there still a lot of money to be made in crypto? We're only at 6%. There's no reason to act like animals or act like it's the last moment it's going to happen. Yeah. We're at 6%, y'all. Like, we've got plenty.
Yeah. And people are also looking at that too, and basing some of those decisions on emotion and, the fear of missing out. And I've done that, not recently because I learned, but, and I think that sometimes that turns it around to why people get upset, because they made that decision and then they were like, man, I should have looked into that a little bit more, or whatever, not to get specific with any project, but, yeah, I think you bring up a really good point when it comes to that. So I've got some more questions, but I want to backtrack just for a second. So all of this stuff that's coming out, right, and we haven't even got into the Grovekeeper wallet or other things, seems in the timeline of crypto to be happening very fast, right?
Yes.
So, because officially, how long has Grove been around?
March 1st. Well, as far as a live launched crypto, it's been around longer than launch, but we launched March 1st at 6 p.m. EST 21.
Okay, that ties right into my question. To get all of that stuff done, and I don't want to compare you guys with other any other projects or anything like that on their time frames. That's not the point of my question. Was a lot of this stuff in the works before you guys actually launched? Is that how you guys were able to get like staking and I don't know when the blockchain's coming out, and I'm not a win guy, but I feel like it's going to be soon. So those sort of things.
I'm like, yeah.
So those sort of things all happening in what we have observed to be very speedy. Was there a lot of work done before it actually launched? Is that how you guys made that happen?
Well,
Without, I know there's certain things you can't talk about, but
it's to answer that question, for public relations reasons, it gets kind of tricky.
okay.
Because a lot of other cryptos will be like, because a lot of them are kind of built around the mystique of we're like Wizards of Oz, and like,
I love that.
but I mean that's how a lot of people have been conditioned.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question as best that I can in a public relations manner, as to not ruffle feathers with others, because that has to be considered.
Sure.
But
oh, we love you, Mendy.
So the plans for a lot of things were already done. And we very much so. How can I answer this question? That's kind of an on the spot question, but
Nice.
but it is some things were planned, yes.
Okay.
A lot of things, but when I say planned, meaning okay, here's A, B, C, and just like anything, you have to have a diagram. Okay, we have this great idea, awesome. Now make it work. And so you have to go into the multitudes of different layers of planning that has to be done. You have to remember that we're very, very business minded. And so a lot of crypto projects, those people are not business minded. They have a great idea, but they're not business minded. We also, as co-founders, which there are 4 of us, we also do not take profit. It 100% goes back into the project, just like any business in real life. Any business owner will tell you, well, I had to put it right back. And so that's the same thing as this. And so we are, that's just the way, that's just what business is. And so we make a lot of sacrifices, and not just with our time and not just, with family, all those types of things, but even financially, there's been a few million that has been out of pocket. Not a lot of millions, but still, I mean, a million's a million, no matter how you chalk it up.
Yeah.
And
we always say that with 100. It was $100. That's $100.
Exactly.
So
Right. I'm like $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those, John's like, all right, this is what we're doing. All right, let's make a plan. This is how we're doing it. All right, let's also make a plan for the sacrifices that have to be made. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So, I mean, and again, that's one of those questions that's kind of for me to have to answer, because I can't answer that for other crypto. I can just tell you from Grove's perspective, how it is that we've made it work and work so fast is we work to work. Like we're not taking vacations and only working 1 day a week. We're not just like, oh, okay, let's make the team handle it all and whatever happens. And we don't do that. And again, I can only speak for us. I can't speak for other people. But again, like you'll notice, like how I'd said just a little bit ago, that we do things in stages so everyone, including the community, can stay on the same page, right? Mm-hmm. And so by doing that, and then also as far as having different budgets and different things, so like let's say that this month, then these are hypothetical numbers, but let's say this month that we have 100,000 through tokenomics or fees or what have you, because it is a community-based project, so we're not wrong for doing that. The community should of course pay for it. That's why it's called community-based. So let's say that we gain 100,000. Well, that 100,000 of course could we separate into different budgets that we have. And we're like, okay, we are doing a blockchain, a wallet. We're doing staking. We are getting ready to have an Amazon store. We're getting ready to have a merchandise store. We're getting ready to build a headquarters. We're getting ready to build villas, build towers. So we take whatever that amount is, and just like in real life, in your own finances, and we go, okay, here's some for this, here's some for this, here's some for this, and that's just how it works. And then, but that's also how that we're able to achieve our goals, is because financially we are very, very organized, just like you have to be in real life. It's a business. It's a multi-million, will grow to be a multi-billion-dollar business. You better know business, and you better know how to budget.
It's a lot of zeros.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I will tell you, I know you can't speak on that, and I get it, but just as a holder of a bunch of different projects, because we believe diversity is key too. Mm-hmm. There are some projects that I do believe launch to get funding so that they can start working. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there are other projects that at least it appears this way, that have more of a plan and have already started some of the groundwork and the working before they launch. Yeah. And I'm sure that money is out of pocket because there's no other way to get the money. And then it seems that those investors, like the white papers and just the roadmaps and all those things, are more clear. And we always talk about people having to pivot from time to time, and we get that. But those seem to get further faster than the ones that have maybe a great idea, but they don't really do anything until they launch so that they get some funding so that they can. And that was basically my reason for bringing up that question to you, is not back you in a corner or anything, but it seemed like you guys are in that group of people that not only had a plan, but had some of the foundation laid, and like you were ready to go at launch. You know what I mean? And because
not a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Program.
Because we've seen that how many times?
A lot.
And those are the ones, not all of them, but those are the ones that I am very cautious with, because what happens if they don't get enough funding? Then it's like, oh, idea was still great, but we're no longer here, you know?
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that's all it is. It's not just a purposeful rug pull, you know what I mean? It was just, oh, well, it just didn't work out. Like, we just didn't get enough money. So not to beat a dead horse there, but yeah, go ahead.
No, and you are so correct, and thank you for bringing that point up, because a lot of people don't realize that. That's part of the mystique of, the devs are doxxed, or you wouldn't give your money to a stranger on the street like that. Why are you doing it in this extreme to people you don't know from all over the world? I've never understood that. That's just me personally, but I'm just like, wait, what? But you wouldn't do that in real life.
No.
But you are correct. A lot of times it is, a lot of times people do have to, in a way that investors are kind of like philanthropists in their own way, because they meet a person, however that is, they hear the idea, they invest in that person and their idea, and then the work starts and they begin. Growth. We did have, we did have, of course, planning, but we also had funding prior. Did we have a lot of funding? I mean, we had funding, but it wasn't some extreme amount that could do it without it. I mean, that's what crypto is.
Right.
And so, but a lot of times, this crypto has been, especially in the past, crypto has been okay. I decided to go out and have friends and came up with this idea. And on the next day I woke up and decided to launch it from my garage. Like, if people knew a lot of these people in real life, they would never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, you're so right. I find that the people who are friends and put a project together, those are the projects that don't succeed. It's not easy going into business with your friend because you have different opinions, different ideas. You guys especially in crypto.
It's fair too.
Because
you can't have this many people together in this kind of dynamic and get along every single day. That's not possible. That's not even probable.
Yeah.
So, are there days that we don't get along? Are there topics that we don't agree on? Yeah, we're human. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that we can't come together. That doesn't mean that we're human. Like I said, we're not Wizards of Oz.
Wait a second, Mendy, are you telling me that if we don't see eye to eye on 100% of everything in the world, that we can still be friends?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
That's insane.
Wow.
No,
We
I
can be
kid.
friends. We can
We'll
be
have to think
business
about that.
partners.
Yeah.
We can even walk our dogs together.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I kid because it is amazing, and the three of us talk about this all the time too. Is just that conversations used to start with feelings, and now they end with feelings. Like, if I feel this way, it's over, and we no longer can talk to one another again. And it's like, oh, that's where it used to start. That's how you build relationships. We don't have to see eye to eye on everything. So, no, I kid, but there is a lot of truth behind that too, though, in this world today. So you said something about people in their garage doing this and that, giving people money, but I just wanted to reiterate on that. A lot of that is almost like buying a lottery ticket. I feel like a year ago, a lot of
Or a garage sale.
maybe, but it was like, I'll give that person I don't know $10 because maybe it'll be worth 1,000, or I'll give that person $100 because maybe I'll win 100,000. And I think the mentality of that is kind of going away on the holders part too.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, and it's a great thing because there were some of those, I won't name names, that I was like, if I put $100 in it and it 10x, yeah, I mean, great. I won it. Well, that $100 lasted like 3 days, and then it was zero. And I thought, well, this is a really dumb way to invest. I would do a little bit more research and get on to companies and projects that actually have some merit and some something behind it, and not just. It's good to have dreams and good to have plans, but there's got to be something concrete too.
But do you guys think that when the bull market does come, all of a lot of projects will pop up again because of when it did take off back in 2020, when everything was going up, everything was at least 5xing.
Oh yeah.
No matter but right what now we're in, exactly, and so now we're in this like real, I guess, bear market. And so, I mean, for me, I'd be dumb to launch a project now. I mean, that I didn't have any intentions to making it into something. I mean, because right now, personally, my thought process is right now would be the best time to launch and get everything together so that it's ready when the bull market hits. However, if it was real,
right,
yes.
Yeah.
But these projects that aren't really going to go anywhere, they just want a 5x, 10x or whatever, they don't want to launch right now because they have nothing. They will have nothing even when the bull market hits. So do you think those type of projects and people will pop up again once we start kicking off?
Yes.
And if there's no regulations by then.
Oh, true.
Well, let me answer your questions.
Yeah, right.
So yes, there are a lot of what are structured to be cash grabs. There will always be crypto that is for day traders to cash grab. That's just what trading is, whether it be in crypto or, in fiat. And so you have to be aware of okay, let me look at this. Is this going to be a cash grab for day traders, or is this actually going to grow into something? And then, of course, see the people, because, you know, another trick is that people will put a different face than the actual person who is running it.
Yes.
Anyway, not here, but anyway, I mean, it's the wild, wild west, y'all. They don't call it that for no reason.
Yeah.
But at the same time, something that you have to keep in mind is, you know, for all of these years and over a decade, there hasn't been regulations. And these people have behaved this way for whatever reason, as if that one day that they never had to pay for those consequences for their actions. What made you all think that? Yeah. Like, dude, that's my stance on it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you think that there's a time limit on stealing millions of dollars from people?
Right.
Wrath is
They're
coming.
still going to come after you. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I hope they do. I really hope.
I hope they do too. I hope they do too. Like, you know, I know that this show doesn't need to be, you know, on this kind of topic for a long time. However, you know, we need to talk about it, you know, as adults and as investors. It doesn't, because you have to remember, yes, am I a co-founder of Grove? Yes. Do I do a lot of work for Grove? Well, obviously. However, I'm still an investor. I still have a diversified wallet and portfolio. I'm still involved, meaning as far as investing in other projects. So there's two sides of the coin here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'm still same as you. I'm still an investor. Like,
but you know,
that's in Grove, but in crypto in general.
That's no different than somebody working for Apple investing in Amazon. You know, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? To answer your question, Holly, really fast, in my opinion, because I've thought about this a lot, yes, there will be a lot of projects that pop up. My hope is that people are more educated and that they don't invest as much money as they did before. If you want to screw around and throw $100 at it because you made $10,000 on another project, okay, cool, whatever. Go to the casino, same thing, right? But I'm hoping people don't go, this is a for sure deal. I'm sending $1,000 to this that I can't afford to buy.
Yeah, that's the part that I hope that we're educated, that everybody is, you know, well educated on, is knowing the difference between a cash grab and an actual project, because there is a huge difference. And I mean, even today, you still see the cash grab projects out there that aren't really grabbing cash because we're in a bear market and it sucks. But you see those people, and I won't name a specific project, but there is one in my mind but you see people like really bullish on that project and like, oh, this is the one. And you're like, it really isn't. No, it really isn't. And how do you tell these people that with that? Why aren't you seeing these red flags? You know, it's disappointing to see some of those people still, you know, throw out names, then say, hey, this is the next, you know, this is going to do something in a year to come. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, and that's sad.
You know, you talk about what was that, Mendy? I'm sorry.
I said if even a year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But, you know, you talk about education. I'm hoping that at some point that's maybe what this sort of evolves into, is that we can help people not get taken advantage of, like we did 2 years ago, whatever it was, in certain projects. Because I'm hoping to know some of those projects, right? Because it's still researching things. They're going to pop up somewhere in my line of sight and be able to, you know, not necessarily probably name projects, but go, listen, be careful. Look at XYZ if you're seriously thinking about investing and how this could turn out. Because somebody still always needs to look out for new investors. Otherwise, there's always going to be a sour taste. And if we can help do that, then that will be awesome. Mm-hmm. So not to ramble on about that, but I always wondered if that wouldn't be a thing. So
that will always be a thing. Yeah. The business hazing is a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. A whole lot of money. That will always be there. You know, I'll tell you this, and I've brought it up before. But a couple years ago, like for instance, a lot of people base a lot of their things from SHIB, because, you know, SHIB was one of the very first kind of utility tokens in a way, or at least in our corner. And a lot of people, because it was derived from Doge, all of that, and a lot of people take their expectations, which are typically wrong, and base it off of their success. Okay, but they don't ever factor, well, why did that happen? How did a lot of them become overnight millionaires that were the very first one, when that happened?
Yep.
Right.
Like they just think that it was just luck and it just happens. And
Lottery
no, you don't know what went into that in order to make that happen. Like, for instance, excuse me, if you want 2 zeros, that's $200 million that has to come in without being sold. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
$200 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a few zeros.
Yeah.
Yes, and a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So you have to have something that's such a catalyst that not only can it accomplish something like that, but can maintain it even with the sales. So you have to be, it's okay to have dreams, like anything in life. It is okay to have dreams. It is okay to even daydream it a little bit, but at the same time, you also have to come to terms with yourself as to what's real and what's realistic and what's not.
Yep.
Like when they hear of those other different crypto having such successes and such of, those kind of just blew out of nowhere, they don't know the background. They don't work for that crypto. They don't know what just happened in order to make that happen. And they also didn't announce it either.
Right.
So so if no one takes, we've been all over the place with this interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of X'd out a bunch of stuff on here because it's like a zigzag line, but it's all good. It's conversation.
Yeah, no, I love it.
It's mainly conversation. But that's something that I appreciate about our community, is that we can just sit down and talk. We can just have conversation. Like, it doesn't have to be like I'm the Grove cheerleader and that's just what you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and that's never been our goal for this, is to we want people from projects to be on, but you don't have to be the cheerleader, but just talk real stuff,
Yeah.
Holly,
Absolutely.
did you have a question from a community member that you wanted to ask?
I do. So is this, yeah. All right. So one of the community members, and I won't say his name just in case, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you know who it is. He had asked, what are the advantages or disadvantages of holding or staking Grove from the Grove blockchain as opposed to BSC or ETH chains?
So, which we kind of answered this just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So if they want to have it on that blockchain, they can, or they can use the bridge and have it housed at ours, or they can do some there, or some there. It's just whatever their personal preference is. But the other benefit as to having it on our blockchain is that it doesn't matter what happens with regulations and business practices and other things to that it's housed with us. So that was also the whole reason as to why that we're like, okay, all right, guys, we are doing a blockchain, and this is how much it costs, and now we get to plating. And you're just like, oh, happy Monday.
But to reiterate, there's no benefits in yield, right? It's still all the same.
Yeah, because they're fixed.
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
So it doesn't.
I've stated the obvious, but I just
there.
want everybody to know, be clear. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me ask you a couple more questions and we'll get into the fun stuff, okay? Because I think we are pushing up against our time here. So you have the wallet coming out, right? So let me ask you, and this kind of goes along with some of the other things like with the swap, and I just want to hear it from your perspective. So what makes the Grovekeeper wallet different from other wallets? Like why should I use it? Does that make sense? Here's your cheerleader chance.
Thank you. So, pretty simple. Well, a lot of different crypto have their own wallet, just so that way that they can keep it in house, the fees in house, all of those things, because again, it's community based.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really complain that blah blah and blah wasn't done if no funds are generated.
Right.
But again, disclosure there. You also have to pay attention to where that money's go.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, ours will also be insured. You may want to look around and research how many DeFi wallets, not centralized, how many DeFi non-custodial wallets are there that are insured?
I don't know of any, but there may be
Exactly.
some, but I don't know of any.
I don't know of any either. Somebody,
Okay.
if there is one, I'm sure that a fudder of some kind will watch this and tell me what it is, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Hey.
I would love to know.
Yeah.
If people out there know, let us
Put
know
your
which ones
research
are.
to good use
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah.
So that would be the main benefit of that wallet, you think? Then would be one, it's in house, but then also it's insured. Because people have asked me
Exactly.
that. It's like, why do I need another wallet? I already have, say, 3 or 4 wallets. Why do I need another one? And that goes along the line of my next question for you. And this is just for general information. Like, there seems to be lots of swaps, right? Like, when I first got in, there weren't very many swaps. Like, Pancake was huge. There was no SafeMoon swap. There was no Grove swap. There's all these swaps that were out there. What do you and this really doesn't have to pertain with Grove, but what do you, as somebody that's in the know, why would people, let me see how to word this right. I should have wrote this down better. What would attract somebody to somebody else's swap? Is it because you're invested in the product? Is there something in the swap that, you know what I mean? The design, the layout, because me personally, I'm going to find one I like and I'm going to keep using it. Does that make sense? Because that's just how I'm programmed. But is there anything to your guys' swap? And you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah. No,
after
I
a while,
understand.
there's a lot of choices. Like, there's a lot of car brands out there. Why am I buying a Honda?
Yeah, no, it absolutely, a swap is a swap.
Mm-hmm.
They all function the same. A swap is a swap.
Mhm.
However, what matters is where you want your fees and things to be benefited. So, like if you hold Grove, then obviously you would want Grove to grow. So
Right.
you would want to use theirs if you and whatever it is. So that's wise, because you're not third partying it. A lot of people, and this has actually become more of a conversation that I've had in the last couple of days than I ever have. But a lot of people have not, and there's been times I have too. I'm not perfect, y'all, but that people do not look at their receipts. When they just say, okay, it's success, and that's just what it is, and yes, I paid X amount. If you look at that transaction hash and you see how many different places that had to go and how much your money got divided up before it actually was done,
Yeah.
you may want to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
That's funny that you said that. Like that, my very first experience with DeFi, I guess, outside of Robinhood crypto, because I was, Doge and all that stuff. But SafeMoon was my very first transaction, I should say. And I actually had my little brother buy it for me and then transfer me the tokens. And that is the first time I looked at all the receipts and read the blockchain and started familiarizing myself with everything. And I was like, Jesus, I could have had X amount more had I have just bought it myself or looked somewhere where there wasn't going to be even more fees. Like we just literally, he watched a video, figured out how to buy it. And so I'm like, I'm not watching that video, but here's my money. So sending him money cost me something in the real world. And then him buying those tokens cost money. And then him transferring me those tokens cost money. I mean, I could have had millions, or actually at that time, billions more SafeMoon had I not went that route. So
Do you
yes,
want to know
Tracy.
something else? You want to know something else?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe.
A lot of people leave a slippage at whatever it generates.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you not know what slippage is? Please research and find out what slippage is.
Yeah.
You're agreeing that they can have that too.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Mhm.
they'll take it.
And they sure
They
will.
will.
That's how they make money.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So I have one more question, in like general question, specific to Grove, and then we'll see where that kind of goes, and we may have another follow up question, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. I promise you.
One second.
All right.
Okay, Mendy.
Okay.
So one of the
Right.
things that comes up from time to time with successful projects is what people would label FUD. Okay, so there's that, but I think on the other side of that are legit questions. So I want to ask you something that I don't believe is FUD, but you correct me if you think otherwise, because like we talked about earlier, we're having a conversation. Okay,
Yeah, we'll just cut them out of the picture.
just cut me out of the picture. Put that big unicorn right on my face.
It's there, trust me.
But one of the questions that I've actually had DM'd to me a couple times since I announced that you were going to be on, and one of the things that I saw that honestly I had forgot about was the anti-whale mechanism of Grove, of not being able to sell. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 1,000? You're not supposed to be able to sell more than 1,000 at a time. Is that right?
Yes, and I know exactly where you're going with this, and it's been generated, and it's again what always comes down to do your own research. So whenever we launched, there was a front run bot, which of course that we zapped, and they got blacklisted and lost all their money.
Okay.
But
Wow.
yeah,
I didn't know that, but that's great.
absolutely, we don't play. So what they're doing is they are generating, and they keep sharing the same screenshot of those moments of launch so if you want to think about it, when you launch a contract, it's almost like an engine starting, right? So it takes a second for those certain permissions to be enacted. They knew that. So that kind of tells you the level of who it could be that actually would know such a thing, right?
Mhm.
But anyway, but
Greg.
It was great,
So-
wasn't it?
Maybe.
so if you go to the chart, so like if you go right now to Dex Tools and you go under sort and you do high to low, you'll see that ever since that instance, because of the bot, there have been none.
Okay.
Our contract is quite solid.
Okay.
And so they knew that they had to, they knew they were well enough to know that it takes a blink of an eye for the contract to start those functions.
Right.
So
We've
they had
seen
to
that
beat
in
that.
other contracts.
Sweet. Yeah.
You know, where things happen, you know, because of the bot can work that fast, and I've got to, you know, slide this, whatever, and we've seen that other places. So for the record, then that mechanism is in place.
It is.
I like
Okay.
how she said they got zapped. That's
Right.
well,
God.
It's the little things for Greg. He's just like zap.
You go.
Yeah, zap. Okay, so I feel like that's a fair question.
Blacklist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know, people that watch this, we've been accused of being like fluff or whatever. It is what it is, and that in itself, I believe, is a little bit of FUD. You know, we aren't here to ask all the win questions. We aren't here to, you know, put necessarily a microscope on, get into every little detail of every little thing. Okay, that's just not what we're about. But I kind of thought that was a fair question, so I wanted to make sure that we asked it, and I appreciate you being honest with us.
Yeah,
But
me
on
too.
that, on that note, I have to ask you,
Okay.
how do you deal with all the FUD that comes around? Because and let me
Wow.
paraphrase this, because even we don't deal with a lot of it, okay, but we do deal with some. It's just we deal with it on our YouTube channel in the comment section. I've learned how to block people on YouTube, which is great because and here's the deal. If you want to say something on there, I'm cool with it. But when you start getting vulgar and you start saying things that I wouldn't want my daughter to hear, then, okay, I'm done with you. All right. Like, we're not having a conversation anymore. You're just being rude. Yeah. And when we have successful guests on our projects, guests from those projects on, our FUD level starts to go up. Like, through DMs, through comments on posts that we make. And we just deal with a little bit of it, just a little tiny bit. So how do you deal with that, Mendy?
Bless your heart.
I can't get behind it. Like I can't see a valid reason.
No. Well, like the craziest thing to me is, so I have somebody who reached out to me, and I'm not going to even give him the time to say his name on here. But he reached out to me because in a video that was out there when we had all met at LA. Is out there, and I'm talking to you and Dell Crypto. Like, and I think, to be 100% honest with you, our conversation was literally about what I was wearing, because I was like, I didn't have time to change or anything, and I felt so underdressed, and we were talking about what I was wearing. But you can't hear that in that video, right? So they automatically assumed we were talking business. And so it was like, I saw you had a conversation with Mendy and Dell. Was that about you getting growth tokens? And I was like, no. I think that was about my outfit. And I got grilled over a video with Mendy of us having a conversation, you guys. I got like interrogated over this, they construed this weird thing in their head and were determined, like they were telling me what I was saying. And I was like, no, you guys have me all wrong. Like, that is why would they talk business with me? I'm just a community member on Twitter. Like, it was mind-blowing to me, the interrogation I got of them telling me what I was actually saying about Grove. And it was like, no, don't, they were trying to even misconstrue what I was typing back to make it fit into their narrative. And I'm like, no, that is not right. It was the weirdest thing I've ever gone through.
So now, does that answer your question if projects fund such things? Because that is very much a normal practice, and very much so. And so that's how they pay for hire. Well, let me just go ahead and affirm for you. I didn't even receive free tokens. I am a co-founder, and I didn't even receive free tokens. John, while yes, he is the CEO, didn't even get free tokens. He didn't. I didn't. Richard didn't. John Sr. didn't. So if we did not even give our own selves free tokens, and we're the ones doing the work, why would I give it to somebody else?
You didn't give Greg any?
That's just common sense.
Well, I was getting
Do what?
You didn't give Greg any?
Well,
no.
We can't have to edit this out, because you should see my wallet now.
Dang. But again, that just proves to you the proof, without even having to have a ledger, of how true it is that other projects pay people to behave in unethical manners for them. That has been around for quite some time, and in our corner of crypto, it's very much a thing. And so that's why it is that, like we very much push that you have to make your own decisions. And I can go ahead and tell you, those projects are not happy that I'm so forthcoming with the mechanics. They're not happy at all that I'm like, we're not Wizards of Oz. And they're like, Mendy, I spent so much time and energy and paid people to make them think that. So we're not.
You don't have magical powers?
No. And if I did, I think I would use them to not have curly hair or give me like
Change my eye color. Yes.
There's no place like home.
Well, we appreciate you being so honest with us, Mendy.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we were so excited to have you back on. But on that note, and for time's sake, then we'll let Holly have her Holitivity segment. So that
yay!
we
And I'm
can
wearing
get
my
off the
shirt
futters.
today.
Yay!
Positivity.
You need to send me one of those shirts.
I will. I'm going to, Mindy. I love this shirt. It's like
I will wear that shirt with pride and go, yes, this is exactly what this says. My name is Mindy Renee Parker, and yes, this is the shirt that I wear, and this is who I'm supporting. Let me just say this, because I know a lot of people may watch this interview and be like, why is the conversation been so much about FUD, or has been about, why it is that Grove does this? Because one of the things that I appreciate about your show is that we are just people talking. This isn't a formal, you be in a business suit, me be in a business suit, and we are talking as if this is business and only business, because we're people.
Yeah.
And so, have I conducted myself in a professional manner? Obviously, yes. But at the same time, we are people. And that's one of the things that makes our corner of crypto thrive the way that it does, is because it's not like a whole bunch of infomercials.
Right.
It's not just, hey, you are either in this crypto or you are just foul to me. We are people. So we can sit down and have educated conversations, transparent conversations. And again, that's one of the things that I love about your all show.
Thank you.
Is because you can sit down and just have conversations as people and not an interview. If I want Barbara Walters, I will go get Barbara Walters.
right.
Well, not Barbara.
And I would not tune in.
Please rest herself.
So
that is one thing when we have guests on for the first time, we always, right before we get ready to record, we would just say, don't forget, we're just having a conversation. And we didn't say that today because you've been on before.
you already know.
But I've had people after the interview go, I was really nervous. I wasn't sure about being on camera. But when you say that, then we actually just have a conversation, then I can just be myself, which is the whole point of this, is that people get to know CEOs, moderators, whatever it is, people tied to projects in a different light. Like their real selves, not people that they have to pretend to be in a business model or whatever that may be. So we just appreciate you coming on and being open and honest with us. I mean, it means a lot. It really does.
Yes.
And honestly, like that's one thing, when I first started on Twitter and went into spaces, the spaces were fun. You would just go, there was education, there was jokes, there was laughter, there was just everything that that made it fun, because it was just so lighthearted kind of compared to what it's turned into. I feel like a lot of spaces, and not Grove though. You guys, I love your guys' spaces just because it's just, just a man has like that great radio voice, and it's so fun. It's energetic, and it's, you guys always have that disclaimer, as long as you're respectful, you can come up. And so there's not really that, I don't want to say professionalism, but business aspect to your space, whereas other spaces are so controlled and don't really necessarily let other people come up anymore to just ask random questions or just to, shoot the shit. And so I've chosen to stay out of spaces lately because of that. But that's what makes me love our podcast the most, is that we can be, professional and ask questions and get to, the more business like, but we also have fun about it. And it doesn't even feel like you're recording, right? Like you're just having a conversation. That's why I'm like, I love our podcast for that very reason, because you'll have Greg just randomly say something, crazy. And so you just start laughing at him, there's no.
That fudders get paid. So now it opens up side gigs for us. So
Get your wallet out. Get your wallet out, Greg.
I mean, that's my first thought. No, I'm just
I think Mendy kind of knows where in the world we're located, and she might hunt you down.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give her your address.
Oh, I was getting ready to say
Oh,
I just
I can
moved.
find it.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
All right, never mind.
No, but
Yeah,
seriously,
but anyway.
yeah, we do appreciate you. And you know what, Holly, with what you just said, I recently went back and looked at some of our older videos as we're getting ready for our 1 year anniversary and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And your interview before you were on the marquee
Yeah.
was like you were nervous, right? Like when you were there, you were
Yes.
nervous, like terrified. And as that conversation went on, and it was a conversation, you could see you just be Holly,
Yeah.
which is what I think makes us awesome.
And
So
we were always missing something till Holly.
we just didn't know it.
I'm Caleb. Please like and subscribe.